being caught in this totally artificial, abstract realm of ideas in my head has been so much suffering that it's brought me into Buddhism and meditation. And then you bring your attention back, you're beginning to renew or realize the nature of things again. But it's coming not from a tribal mind and the perceptions of a tribe, but you're beginning to awaken to ultimate reality, transcending personal limitation or tribal mentality or planetary life itself. So like the kind of the innocent, the corruption, and then they return to innocence or wisdom, through wisdom rather than through rebirth. Because like here in Britain, you can see a lot of people, are thinking more in this way, are realizing they're putting attention into more mindful activities and contemplation, meditation. When I came to Britain 13 years ago, meditation was still an odd thing to be doing for most British people. And a lot of people that used to say they meditated wouldn't tell any of their friends. They think they were really, crazy doing meditation. It's a weird thing to be doing. Getting drunk on Saturday night's normal. But now say I can't go to the pub on Saturday night because I'm going to meditate at Amaravati is a valid excuse now. I hope. And people are like yoga for one. I mean, I started doing yoga in 1960, around 1960, in California. And in California, of course, it was a very weird and strange thing to be doing, even in California in 1960. There was just, I started eating health foods, became a health food fanatic, and practicing hatha yoga about that time. And nobody else, there was a few. You go into the health food shops in San Francisco, and you just be there with little old ladies who were, trying to increase their lifespan. But there were no young people. And then you felt a bit of a fool, young man going in there buying lecithin and yeast and things, and when all your friends were, into booze and cigarettes, and this was before McDonald's hamburgers. And then doing yoga, like standing on your head, was about the weirdest thing. If you said you like to stand on your head, then that's a really strange man, that one. And then over, that was 1960, 30 years later, you find anywhere now yoga groups, the most kind of ordinary housewives in any part of Britain or the U.S. or anywhere else are practicing yoga. It's just considered just absolutely normal behavior in even the most conservative parts, where 30 years ago it was really strange, even in a trendy avant-garde place like the Bay Area of California. So there is an increase, in meditation or in Buddhism. 30 years ago in the Bay Area of California, to find anyone interested in Buddhism was very difficult. And now there are so many Buddhist groups. So there is a change going on, and some of it can go into other extremes or into kind of silly cults. But generally, I want to encourage a tendency more towards investigation and reflection, whatever form it might be, because that is the direction we need to go in, away from just kind of trying to create utopias, external gardens of Eden, and trying to create and tyrannize the planet with our own ideas that are born out of ignorance. More and more we're beginning to appreciate, say, just like the American Indians used to be considered just savages, ignorant savages that were saved by the white men when we came over to North America. We converted them to Christianity. How lucky they are! And now that whole attitude is not held anymore. One is beginning to see a wisdom in the fact that many of the American Indian tribes had developed a tremendous knowledge and understanding of natural law that was totally when they say 100 years ago, European people couldn't understand it at all. They didn't understand what the Indians were saying or doing. They just looked at the surface and condemned it. But now we're willing to try to understand things like that and appreciate, like the Australian Aborigine, or not everyone, but we're beginning to see a level of wisdom and sophistication and subtlety in things that we before just arrogantly dismissed as savagery. Because one of our problems is arrogance, European civilization. White man's burden and this kind of holier than thou, and Christianity with its we're right, you're wrong, we're the way and everyone else is wrong, and this whole sense of me being right and you're wrong, and what I'm doing is right and what you're doing is wrong if it isn't what I'm doing. The whole kind of dualistic thinking and black and white value system is falling down now. It's much more the subtleties and of our state are becoming apparent to us. Just like Buddhism, it was rare that a Western person could understand Buddha Dharma 30 years ago. It was really rare that any Western person had any real profound insight into it. And our whole way of thinking was so different than the way you think as a Buddhist that it was just seemed, just nonsense or just impossible to come to terms with paradoxes of Buddhism or the subtleties of Buddhist teaching or thought or practice. And yet now it's not that Western people have now, really committed and made an investigation, practiced, and now you can talk about Buddhist teaching, Buddhist scriptures and Buddhist ideas, and have quite a wide audience of Western people who appreciate and have some understanding of and realization of it, the subtleties there. So even though sometimes the more pessimistic, negative views reign on the world, there's also there's something else taking place underneath the kind of obvious growth problems, the pollution and war and exploitation. There's also underlying that something else happening that we're involved with, that we're very much inclined into now, and therefore I trust in that more, because that's where real strength and where problems can be solved. On this other level of just ideas and taking positions and fighting and imposing my will on somebody else and conquering others and all that is to me like the dinosaurs. That kind of powerful image it's become useless. It's become so big and so kind of heavy that it's actually destroying itself, because there's no need or use for it anymore. It's something that It needs to die out, become extinct.